Hi folks, thanks for joining me once again at Photo Tutorials. As you can see, we're back in Capture NX2 and I've got this image here that I want to show you. I'm going to make a quick adjustment on this, and basically I'm just going to show you how to use a couple of selection brushes to make certain adjustments of the image. I think I showed you before how to use the selection control point tool here, which was this thing here. We've got quite a number of the selection tools, but the one that I'm going to show you is these two here. Is the selection brush and the fill and remove tool. So basically what I'm going to do is I want to alter the brightness and the contrast of the image, but I'm quite happy with the exposure and the detail what's on these 5 little sailing skiffs here. So what I want to try and do is get sort of a little bit more contrast in this background. Maybe it's in the seawater. So what I'm going to do is I've selected this fill remove tool and I've clicked on the fill image tool, which is the plus sign there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I've got my graphics tablet here, and all I've just done is I've just pressed down on the pen or left click on the mouse button, and that fills the full image with like a layer mask, if you like. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove some of that mask from these boats, and what I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this selection brush here, and I'm going to hit the minus. Okay, and what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take out the mask where I don't want the areas to be affected. Okay, so you can the good thing about NX2 is you can afford to be a little bit rough around the edges, as long as they ain't too rough or too much, you know. So there, I've gone a little bit too far. What I'll probably do with that is just go over with the plus brush and just add a little bit in, but little pieces like this where you've just nipped the corner, you can sort of just leave, because we're only going to make a minor adjustment on the brightness and the contrast. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to go over these very quickly, and then I'll just touch up whatever I've sort of gone over on. And the good thing about what I like about Capture NX2 is I can do most of your editing in RAW, you know, which is a really good thing rather than Photoshop. I mean, Photoshop does have its own RAW converter, but to me it's quite basic and it's not as versatile as Capture NX2. So one thing I like about Capture NX2 is you can do quite a lot of your editing what you would normally do in Photoshop in NX2. So you're actually doing quite majority of your editing while you're still in RAW, and that keeps the quality right up there. You're always better off trying to edit in RAW rather than a JPEG, because JPEG's a lossy file, and when you do a lot of editing and you're closing that file and you keep opening it back up, and then you keep altering the image and then closing it, open it back up and then altering something else, the quality of that image degrades over time. So that's why I always like to edit in RAW. And if I go to edit after the RAW conversion, what I do is I'll save it as a TIFF, and then I'll do most of the me editing it as either in RAW or catch it in TIFF. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to go over these. You see these little bits here, you know, where I've just overshot on the mask. And you can see the areas which are going to be affected. All the areas that are green, that's the areas that's going to be affected by any adjustments that's made to the image. I think we're about done there. just take your time with it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but try and get it somewhere near if you can. Yeah, we'll just brush up on those edges a little bit there, just tidy those up a bit there. And I think that'll about do us. Just gone over slightly there. Right, I think we're about done there. So we go back out, and there we've got our image there. So we've got the areas that I want selecting anyway. So basically, once you've got all that done, it's just a matter of making the adjustment that you want. So you click adjust. I'm going to go brightness and contrast. I'm just going to add a little bit of contrast, so I'll probably take it to about 5, 6, 7 maybe. There, that'll do. And just come down a touch on the brightness. And you can see how those wind turbines kick in a lot better. And as you can see here, we're just starting to see a little bit of background detail. Just going to reset that because there's a couple of areas here which I've sort of left out. Anyhow, adjust, light, contrast. Just going to leave them for now. So yeah, take that to about 7 on the contrast, 7 or 8, and I'm just going to bring that down about minus 20, I think, or thereabouts. If I zoom out there, you can see straight away that looks a lot better. You can see a little bit more nuance in that sky, a little bit more colour gradation in that sky, whereas you couldn't before. And we've still got this nice light on the board. I didn't really want to take this brightness and contrast down any further on these boats because you can see quite a bit of detail. If you zoom in, you can just see the detail on them sails, you know, and that's what I didn't want losing. You know, you can see all the boat numbers on there, and this is a good little technique, for bringing that exposure back down. It's a bit like using the history tool. I would do something like this similar in Photoshop. If I was doing this in Photoshop, basically what I would do is I would use the levels tool, and I would bring the levels down to get this background and the sea I would want. And then what I would do is I would sorry about that. And then what I would do is I would use the history brush tool, and I would go over the boats. Basically, this is doing the same thing. This is just like using the history brush and the levels in Photoshop. But obviously, I'm doing everything in RAW. But as you can see, that's more of a well-balanced exposure. And we can just see a little bit more of that background detail. We've got a bit more of that cliff in the background. And we've picked up a little bit more of that lovely pastely coloured sky with a little bit more nuance in there and gradation. So basically that's how we use the selection tools, the selection brush and the fill and remove brush in Capture NX2. So give it a go, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.